Another beautiful day. Cold but bright and sunny. Perfect December day, don't you think? Hart nodded at his dad, and he tried to smile a little, tried to act like he cared about the weather, but he didn't. It was only 7:15 on a Thursday morning, and Hart was already thinking about chorus, about the concert, about what a huge mess it was. It was all he could think about, all day, all night, every night. Staring down at the blue and white plate, Hart took another bite of toast. Hart's mom caught her husband's eye and then nodded toward their son, raising her eyebrows. The look said, "Go on, keep talking. Can't you see he needs help?" Because it was clear to everyone in the family that Hart was going through some deep waters. Even Sarah knew something was up. 2 days ago, Hart had come into his room after school and caught her in there, back at his workbench in the corner. She was sitting in his chair, actually holding Hart's small, high speed electric drill in her hand. "Hey! What are you doing in here?" That part had been pretty normal when Hart had shouted at her. Sarah gulped and held out her left hand. I want to make a hole in this shell I found in Florida. I want to put it on a chain like a necklace." It was the next part that had tipped her off because instead of yelling some more and grabbing her arm and pushing her out of his room, Hart had said, "Well, be careful. That's a diamond drill bit on that thing and it'll go right through your finger." Then Hart had just flopped onto his bed, pulled a clipboard and pencil out of his backpack, and started writing. The evidence was clear to Sarah. Something was definitely weird in Hartsville. His mom had begun to notice it right after Thanksgiving, little things at first, like forgetting to stay after school and sign up for Winter Indoor Soccer League, and spending more time on the phone, sometimes getting 2 and 3 phone calls a night from boys she'd never heard of, and girls, too. And why was he singing that little drummer boy song in the shower every morning? Even more puzzling, after all Hart had said about the new computer games he was hoping for, she had to ask him 3 times to make a Christmas list. Hart's dad took a sip of orange juice and then said, "So, Hart, how about a ride to school today? We can leave early and take the long way, even take a spin out onto the parkway if the traffic's not too bad. How about it?" That got Hart's attention. The little silver sports car was not to be ignored, no matter what. "Yeah, that'd be great. 5 minutes?" Hart nodded. "I'll be ready," he said. And he was, a full 2 minutes early, with a book bag stowed in the trunk and seatbelt tight across his chest. His dad backed out of the driveway, put the car in first gear, and said, "Hold on." He punched the gas, and zip, the car to 40 miles an hour in about a second and a half, pushing Hart straight back into the tan leather seat. He grinned over at his dad and said, "Sweet." The car had some serious sizzle, and Hart loved the way the thing hugged the ground as they shot around the corner onto Oak Road. His dad kept the car right at the speed limit, cruising along on the winding back roads for about 10 miles. Then he had to slow down when he turned onto the busy highway that led out toward the parkway. His dad pushed a button and the small screen in the center of the dashboard lit up. At another tap, the screen showed a map, a grid of streets and highways, and it was littered with blinking red octagons. "That's GPS traffic advisory. See all those little stop signs?" Hart nodded. "Those are the traffic delays. We better not try the parkway, so I'm going to turn around up there at the circle and we'll head back the way we came." As they worked their way through the crowded intersection, Hart kept craning his neck to see the drivers of the other cars, checking out the passengers too, watching to see the looks on their faces when they saw how amazing his dad's car was. And people did notice. Hart grinned. "Don't you love how everybody looks at you when you drive around in this car? It's like they can't help it." His dad gave a short laugh. "I almost didn't get this car for that very reason." Hart turned and looked at his dad. "No way." "I'm serious. I could care less what anybody else thinks about me or this car or me driving around in this car. That's not why I bought it." As they stopped at a red light, Hart nodded at a teenage boy driving a small pickup. He had 2 of his friends squeezed into the small cab with him. "See the kid in that truck next to us? The guy in the Yankees cap? He's been staring at this car for 2 minutes, talking to his buddies about it, just wishing he could take it for a drive. And you don't think that's cool?" His dad smiled and shrugged. "No, because I really don't care. I'm not trying to make people envy me. I just want to drive a beautifully engineered automobile. This car, It's like driving a Swiss watch. Everything works perfectly. Everything does exactly what it's supposed to with no wasted energy, no wasted motion, and all that power under perfect control. It's just a great machine. And that's all I care about, honestly. Hart was quiet as his dad put the car through its paces again along the back roads headed toward school. After a few minutes, his dad said, "You know, you haven't seemed much like yourself in the past week or so, Hart. Something been bothering you?" Hart shook his head. "Nah, just school stuff. Bunch of kids are kind of mad at me." "Angry at you? What about?" "Just some stupid stuff in chorus. There's a concert and I'm sort of in charge of it, and it's like I can't do anything right. Everybody wants to do stuff their way." "How come you're in charge? What about the teacher, Mr. What's his name?" "Minert, Mr. Minert. He's there too, but I'm supposed to get the thing organized." "Ah, so you're the boss." Hart gave a sarcastic little snort. "You could say that, except nobody does what I tell them to." It was quiet for another mile or so. Then Hart's dad said, "I've had a little experience at being a boss, you know. It's not easy because you can't just give orders. I spend a lot of my time listening. People aren't going to do something. I mean, they won't do it well unless they really want to." Hart looked out the window, watching the leafless woods fly by, a gray and brown blur. As the car swung into the circle at the front of the school, his dad said, "It'll all work out, Hart. You're a good boss, a good leader. Kids look up to you. They always have. Something will open up. Try listening more. That's what always helps me." He was about to reply to his dad, but when they came to a stop right in front of the main doors, Hart had a memory burst. He sat up straight as it jolted into his mind. He knew this moment. He had run this scene in his mind a dozen times. This was his big school drop-off scene, the moment to emerge from the very cool car just the way he'd imagined it. As his dad pulled the lever to pop open the trunk, Hart glanced around to check out his audience. The buses hadn't arrived, so the front of the school was practically deserted. Pretty disappointing. But about 30 feet away, four girls stood waiting near bus stop number 2. It wasn't exactly the admiring crowd Hart had pictured, but the flashy car had definitely caught the girls' attention. So Hart decided to make the most of it. Hart could tell that all four heads turned as he made a smooth exit from the car, stepped to the trunk, and pulled out his backpack. He walked back to the open door, leaned down, and smiled at his dad. "Thanks for the ride, and for what you said." His dad smiled back. "You have a great day, all right? I'll see you tonight." Hart pushed the door shut, and just as he'd imagined it, the little bullet car purred away from the curb, blinked, turned left, and then sped off down Highway 12. And now it was time to see the girls smile, perhaps nod and wave, maybe even hurry over and say, "Is that your dad's car? It's so cool." Hart pivoted slowly, a generous smile on his face. The girls stood there. They glared at Hart a moment, and then, in almost perfect unison, they turned their backs and walked away. And as they did, Hart knew why. They were all members of the 6th grade chorus.